NCAA opening up an investigation into Michigan football for potential rules violations related to sign stealing. That coming also with them informing the Big Ten on, I believe, today. And this, by law 1161 is kind of the one. Off-campus, in-person scouting of future opponents in the same season is prohibited. Yahoo Sports says the issue, according to sources, is whether Michigan used unnamed individuals to attend games of both scheduled opponents and possible college football playoff opponents in an effort to gather information on the signs they used to call both offensive and defensive plays. The Athletic says the league claims that Michigan, as one source with knowledge of the allegation said, is using a vast network to steal opponents or opposing teams' signs. The league told Michigan State it had reviewed film that shows clearly knowing what play an opposing team is going to run before the play occurs. Not sure how it's possible that it's clear on film there. Obviously, some speculation on their part, but sign stealing not prohibited by the NCAA unless a team intercepts in-game electronic communication. Fellas, we're covering another NCAA investigation. 2 in 1 year. It's a record.
Yeah, and it's been, we've been doing this since last night. As you guys know, it kind of came to our attention. And it's here's the thing, right? Number one, the burden of proof is on the NCAA that Michigan has been doing this. And it's not about the sign stealing. It's about a third person thing. They're saying that somebody paid somebody to pay somebody to go take film basically at these games and have maybe somebody who you're not affiliated or not on the staff get film of the signals of a different team, which is prohibited by the NCAA. I think a staffer cannot be scouting games, and that's what it is. And actually that rule was changed in 1994 as a cost cutting thing. So it's not like sign stealing per se is illegal. And we see, and somebody wrote about Clemson and how they've been doing it, and it's up to you to make sure that they aren't stealing your signals. Michigan's signals were getting stolen at the end of the 2010s decade regularly, and we saw it. We saw Michigan or Ohio State take advantage of that, in my strong opinion. And basically, you blame the guys that are calling the signals, right? It's like, okay, how about you change your signals, and so that
Right.
they can't break them, So, however, if you are doing it illegally, then if you say you had somebody there and they have proof that you were filming their sidelines and you had somebody there doing it, then yeah, that is absolutely illegal and that is a major offense. And the people involved, and speaking to people that we've talked to close to it, would be fired. So if Jim Harbaugh were to have knowledge of that, for example, he'd be gone most likely. And if it were a graduate assistant, he'd be gone. If it were a coach that said, okay, you need to do this, he'd probably be gone. So, but again, they haven't been served as of 206. They have not been served evidence that indeed that is the case. Basically, what they've been told is that, yes, we have credible evidence. Now, are they guessing by looking at plays and saying, hey, they defended that play really well? So that's what they don't know, and that's what nobody knows yet. So, but this is not something that's going to be solved overnight, and it's probably not going to affect this season. It is going to be one of those things that plays out for a while, and then say Michigan were to win a national championship and it were proven in the end, then they'd probably have to take down some banners or something like that. So that's where we are. It's unfortunate that we have this in such a great, the middle of a great season, and who knows how it's going to affect Jim Harbaugh in his tenure here at Michigan. But right now, it kind of sucks, fellas.
I think I'm just kind of tired of all of it. Again, I mean, for as much as we can cry witch hunt and cry all that. I mean, the fact that twice in 1 year we hear about these, I won't even say major scandals, just scandals at Michigan. It's disappointing because to me it takes the conversation away from what you have achieved over the last 2 years, and we know that people have worked so hard to get this thing back on track. And to me, again, obviously there's an investigation taking place that alleges these things are going on. So there is at least some shred of evidence there that would lead them to believe that. But to me, I mean, it seems unlikely, and I said this earlier, that a program that's already being investigated by the NCAA would then knowingly do something like this. And not saying it didn't happen. I think that it would be incredibly stupid. And if it did, and again, sign stealing technically is not illegal. The electronic communication part of it is the in-person scouting part of it. is also, but at the same time, it shifts the narrative from, well, Michigan has been, destroying all of these teams to, well, maybe they're cheating to do it, or maybe they're, what all of the low hanging fruit talking points are now. So for me, it's tiresome. These are why you let investigations play out. The problem with it is that you do have the NCAA, which is a feckless, terribly run organization that has a very clear vendetta. You wonder if those investigations will take place in good faith, but it's I don't know that it changes anything for Saturday. It doesn't change anything the rest of this year, the way this team handles its business. But, now all of a sudden, if Michigan comes out and maybe it's a little more competitive than expected against a team like Michigan State, then it's going to be, oh, well, looks like they couldn't steal signs anymore, blah, 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 blah. We're going to see and hear all of that. And that sucks. That's annoying. And I don't like that.
And I will say that, there's no technically about it. Sign stealing is not illegal. Clemson's been doing it for years, and it's well documented. Frankly, you're not doing your job if you're not trying to steal signs. We've seen it in baseball. It's different, the Astros banging on a drum or something like that, as compared to somebody in the dugout trying to steal somebody's signs. But here's the thing: if it is proven that, and again, it has not been proven. If it is proven that, okay, Michigan had somebody here, and they were recording it, then somebody's going to be in trouble, as they should be. That is a violation. There's no question about it. Doesn't matter if everybody else does it, too. You can't do it, and there's a reason for that rule. Whatever it is, it's and it's laziness, frankly, because you don't need to do it. You could look at the all 22 film, fellas, and zoom in and get the signals from that, that you get every week, from any game, and say, okay, we've got this film and let's break it down, instead of, paying somebody third hand to go ahead and get you some film of their signals. So there's that. Also, it is one of those things where, and I completely agree with you. It sounds like it was Rutgers, by the way. It sounds like it was Greg Schiano who called the Big Ten office. This is what we're hearing, and this is alleged. I don't want to state it as fact, but I'd say I think we pretty much know. I can't say with certainty that he called the Big Ten office. So is what I would say. That is what some are alleging. So that wouldn't be a stunner either, based on his comments at halftime of the game this year, in which his team got beat. So we'll see. But it's interesting. As somebody at Michigan told me, this is, there's no direct link to Jim Harbaugh on this, that he knew anything about it or was involved in it at this point. And, of course, everybody's going to say, and rightfully so, hey, how could he not know? Or, it's his program and he should know. So, no, we are not trying to excuse it or dismiss it. We are saying what we are being told. And that's where things are as of right now.
Yeah, and a couple things on that, too. I know somebody who worked in an FBS program a few years ago, and literally some of the lower-level staffers in that program, and just about every program in the country, one of their jobs was to watch hours and hours and hours of film on upcoming opponents to try to figure out what their signs are, because it's like you said, it's on the film. You can even see some of it at times during the TV broadcast. We can see it from the press box, and guess what? A sign is literally like that in and of itself is trying to hide the play call. Otherwise, you would just yell out what the play call is. Like, you're always trying to keep
throw a bomb.
What's that?
Throw a bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
My pattern.
Right. Yeah, go long. But you're always trying in football. You're trying to not let the defense or the offense, vice versa, know what you're doing. That's part of the game of football. That's why you huddle. That's why you have signs come in. That's why in the NFL, they have the headset where the coaches can talk until there's 15 seconds left on the play clock to the quarterback. So that part of it is a part of the game of football. Obviously, you can't do what's potentially being alleged there. I still do. I mean, the fact that they showed Michigan State, or said to Michigan State that, hey, we do have some film of them clearly knowing what the opponent's going to run. What is that? One, that's not inherently illegal, and two, that's what a good defense would do. Then you have this part. I want to get your guys' reaction to this as well from The Athletic, that Michigan State was approached by the league as a forewarning ahead of the weekend's matchup between the rivals in East Lansing. According to a source briefed on those conversations, upon learning of the pending investigation, Michigan State initially warned the Big Ten it might consider not playing Saturday's game. And get this, out of concern for the health and safety of its own players. On Thursday morning, MSU confirmed that it will indeed play the game. So game on, boys. Game on.
I think that speaks for itself, fellas. What can you add to that? The punchline sometimes writes itself.
Yeah. Anthony sent me that too. So
I saw. I had to make sure because there's a lot of misinformation on the app formerly known as Twitter these days, and I had to double check. I mean, that's from The Athletic, from Brendan Quinn. So
we heard that last night. We heard that last night, guys, and I laughed then, and now that it's in writing, I'm laughing even harder.
I mean, the picture is literally worth however many words are on the screen right now if you're watching that video. So, yeah, I don't have a comment on that because I don't feel like getting clipped and pushed around social media for saying what I would have to say to that. So,
I'll say it's soft, but I'm willing to get clipped. Those are my words. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, so this is news comes down today. We're talking about it. There's going to be stuff down the road. It's also going to be something where Michigan can't really comment on it. As you said, Chris, it's going to drag on. So it's going to be just kind of one of these things bubbling under the surface for a while. But obviously, so there's no conclusion. Like I'll ask you guys if you have any more thoughts. But like we're kind of at where we're at this point, and it's be one of those waiting games as well, which not as fun as talking about football, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the second thing that they're having to deal with, and people can say, well, the NCAA is going after Michigan and so on and so forth. And would they be in the microscope if it weren't for this, for Jim Harbaugh talking about this or wanting, payment for players and everything else. And in this case, probably because, you've got a Big Ten coach or two complaining about it, and so we'll see. But
would they open an investigation? I guess you could.
I don't know that. I don't
because people complain about things all the time, and Michigan may have complained at the end of last.
That's a great point. That's a great point, and who knows? But you know what? Like Anthony said, you can't put yourself in that position if you know that the NCAA has has it out for you. We'll say it to be nice about it, which I don't think is unfair to assume when it comes to Jim Harbaugh.
I guess the only thing I would say, just to bring it full circle, is that if in fact what is being alleged is true, I would find it incredibly disappointing. I think I'd be mad about it. I think I'd wonder why it was necessary at all. But the investigation will play itself out. Again, whether it's fairly run or not, we'll see. But there's evidence out there, and that's what happens. Then we'll see where it goes. I do think that. I think for me, sometimes it's just better to not have an opinion on something until there are clear facts. And that's kind of the stance I'm going to take. I'm not going to puff my chest out and say witch hunt or they're going after Harbaugh. But I am annoyed that this is, it's just, I would love the focus to stay on the on-field product because it's been so good the last 2.5 years. But for whatever reason, that is unable to be the case.
Yeah, and I think I've echoed those sentiments as well. If there's something to it, then guys are going to be dealt with. As simple as that. As dumb as it may seem, or if they're coming after him, whatever. Then you know what? There are consequences, and you have to face them.